All right, welcome. Welcome to the Oregon Department of Human Services Self-Sufficiency Partners Meeting. This meeting, kind of a new thing for us. We not only are offering our ASL and CART transcription services, but we are also offering Spanish interpretation. This is as a result of one of the requests that came out of our survey that we did a couple of months ago. If you would like to utilize Spanish interpretation, if you have not done that through Zoom before, what you need to do is go down to where the little world is. It says interpretation, and you can select the interpretation that you would like. So you would select English or Spanish. Self-Sufficiency Programs is committed to developing and deepening our partnerships to provide outstanding and culturally specific services and supports to the people in Oregon. This means listening, learning, and working together across ODHS programs and state agencies with the 9 tribes of Oregon, community-based organizations, and members of Oregon's communities. This virtual meeting occurs monthly and is a forum for updates, discussion, feedback, and Q&A about self-sufficiency programs and other related subject matter. This meeting is recorded, so I do want to make sure that you are aware of that, especially if you're new to our meetings. We do this so that we can share our meeting along with the presentations and minutes to those partners who are unable to join us today. The follow-up email with all corresponding documents and links will be sent in about 1 week's time. At this time, we do ask that you introduce yourself in chat if you have not already done so. Please include your name, pronouns, organization, and role. This is very helpful to us as well as our partners for connection purposes. So I'm going to do that right now myself. Today's agenda includes presentations from self-sufficiency training and employment programs, the Department of Consumer and Business Services Bank On program, and updates from TANF policy and the Oregon Eligibility Partnership. Presenters, we do ask that you turn on your cameras while presenting where able, as our partners appreciate seeing the person who is speaking. Of course, we would also like to invite all of you who are willing and able and comfortable to share your cameras as well. We would love to be in community with you, and seeing you just makes it that much easier to do so. Before we jump into our first presentation, I just wanted to see if there was any questions regarding accessing any of the accessibility options we're offering today with CART, ASL, and Spanish interpretation. Right. Good. And one quick announcement, and that is you may have noticed it in the email that was sent out last week. I will be sending out a new invitation for our meeting invites for 2024. I'll be sending that out sometime in the next week or so. I wanted to wait till we had a chance to meet today so that you would know to expect it and to accept that. And that's for the dates in 2024. I want to make sure that everybody receives that. Now, I will be sending that to our Self-Sufficiency Partner listserv. If you are not sure you are a member of that, maybe this meeting was forwarded to you by somebody else, please put in chat that you need to be added to that listserv, because when I send out the new invites, I am going to send it to that listserv. And I can double check and make sure that you're a member, and if not, get you added. So I will need your email in order to add you to that listserv. And that listserv is how I send out the meeting minutes and notes on a monthly basis as well. So definitely want to do that. So with all that said, I'd like to hand it over to our first presenter. We have Candy Quintal from the Employment and Training Programs. Candy.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation to join you all today. I have heard from some of those survey requests or from other requests that there was a desire to learn more about our self-sufficiency program, employment and training programs. And so today I am going to do a really quick overview of what self-sufficiency program, employment and training is. And then at future meetings, we will dive deeper into each of the programs. So under SNAP E&T and our TANF Jobs program. But today is just going to be really quick. I'm going to fly through these slides because I know that there's a lot that you want to discuss today. And this is just one of the topics. And I know from those that are joining, there's many of you that have been partners with us for many years. And this is going to be a repeat of things that you already know. But for those that are new, I welcome to have you reach out at any time if you have any questions after today's presentation. So I'm just going to jump in real quick and just say that for our Oregon Department of Human Services Employment and Training programs, you may hear that referred to as E&T. Our programs are really designed to provide and offer resources to Oregonians and our individuals and families seeking out services to be able to see family stabilization, education, training, employment services, anything that's going to help those individuals and families find their pathway out of poverty and into self-sufficiency. And so next slide, please. So this is just, again, a quick overview of what those programs are, mainly that we're going to be focusing on SNAP employment and training, and that's going to be our STEP program. That's a voluntary program for individuals receiving SNAP benefits. And then also we have an able-bodied adults without dependents program, and you may have heard that referred to as ABODS. And then on the TANF side, we have our jobs program, we have Jobs Plus, and then we also have TANF Youth Employment Program. You may hear that referred to as TYEP, but those are programs that we're going to review briefly today. But focusing on what our employment training goals are, we're really focusing on those E&T services, providing opportunities for individuals to skill up, get additional education and training that they need so they can enter the career path that they really want to seek out. We're really trying to help them find an economic mobility path that's not just accepting any job, but really that has an opportunity for them to further engage in their careers. We want to ensure that there's equitable access. We want to ensure that if there are any service gaps, that we are closing those gaps and ensuring that everyone has access to the services in the method that best meets their needs. We want to ensure that underserved populations have equal access to all services that we offer. We want to have a continuum of services to ensure those individuals and families that are exiting the TANF program have continued access to the SNAP E&T program as they are entering that workforce. And then we also want to ensure that there are readily available resources for individuals and families, because we want to ensure that there is that safety net, stabilization, and again, focusing on that pathway out of poverty. Okay, next slide. So who does the E&T program serve and who is on our team? So E&T programs serve all eligible Oregonians virtually and or in their communities. We have 16 ODHS districts, and we have contracted providers within each of those districts. And then for TANF jobs for the 23-25 biennium, there are currently 77 jobs contractors, including 5 jointly funded child welfare and jobs contracts. And then we have 1 statewide contract for the TANF Youth Employment Program. For SNAP E&T for the federal fiscal year of 24, we have 29 contracted providers and 29 subcontractors, and we are providing SNAP E&T services in over 90 locations throughout the state of Oregon. And then also who's on the team. We have me as the program manager. We have Ashley Ty. She's currently out on leave. Then we have Sherry Burrell that's focused on jobs. And we have Janet Scott. She's also on jobs as part of a job rotation behind Ashley. Then we have Sarah Cleaver and Jennifer Granera that are focused on SNAP E&T. And then what is our interface with programs? So this kind of goes over, what does TANF jobs and Snappy and T work with? What is our plans with our connections with our districts and community partners? And so that this kind of provides a lot of that focus and that coordination and collaboration that we do. Next slide. And so how is equity centered in ENT? So we're very focused on our contracts and the work that we do with the districts. It's a vital, important part of this when we're working with each provider to ensure that there are culturally specific services available to each individual that is seeking out those services. And so when we're working with each contractor or provider to ensure those services are made available at the onset of their development of their programs. We're also very much focused on culturally specific languages and services with the contract unit. And then we also ensure that as they're going through and developing their proposals, that these are questions that we're engaging with them from the very beginning, and that we continue to revisit as that contract is administered and those services are being made available to our participants. Next slide. And then this is just quickly going over what our funding sources are. So on the job side, our funding is 90% federal and 10% general funds. And so you kind of get an understanding of federal funding is really on the TANF side block grant, and that provides that assistance to those individuals that are subject to work and participation requirements. But there does come along with that federal 5-year time limit for receiving that assistance. And so there's a lot of things that go into meeting those program expectations for data reporting and certain other requirements that go along with that. And then on the general funds, states have multiple other funding streams that are used to really support the TANF program, and specifically our jobs program that offers more flexibility, but aren't subject to those same federal program requirements. Next slide. And then, so these are the list of our TANF jobs contracted services. So you can see the main categories that we're really focused on: stability, and that's stability for the entire family. We're focused on well-being, again, for the individuals and the families. And then there's that education and training components, those things that really need to help get them those additional skill sets they need for that career path. And then that jobs readiness employment opportunities. So you can kind of see those categories and what kind of activities are with each one of those. And those are what we contract with the communities to offer these services to the individuals and families seeking those services. Next slide. And then on the Snappy and T funding sources, we receive federal 100% Snappy and T funding. We have federal 50% reimbursement. Those 50% reimbursement funds are really for those for the organizations that are offering the services. So you may have heard it referred to as SNAP 50/50, and that provides an opportunity for an organizations to find 50% non-federal funds and be able to match that with the federal 50% funds to provide the services that they have available to them. We also receive some state general funds, and this is to help offer support services for those individuals seeking out services and be able to cover transportation and a variety of other supports that the providers offer in general to the individuals seeking out those services so they can be successful as they're engaging in those activities. And then we also receive federal 100% ABOT pledge state funds, and that's to be able to offer those specific services for those individuals that are subject to the time limits so they can continue receiving their SNAP benefits. Next slide. And so this is the list of the Snappy and T contracted services. So you'll see we don't have the same categories that the TANF jobs program does, but they are very much focused on employment and training. And so you'll go see at the very beginning, we have supervised job search, we have work readiness, we have career and technical education, vocational. There's a variety of different activities for someone that really has the ability to get the skills needed for that career path. Next slide. And then we have SNAP ENT navigators. These navigators are really focused on helping those individuals receiving SNAP benefits be able to connect with a provider that best fits needs for that individual, be able to help navigate the system. So once they have been determined that they are interested in the employment and training service, they can be referred to the navigators. The navigators are going to do an assessment to identify what their career goals are, what their skill sets they're bringing to the table, what challenges they may be facing. And then they know, because they're the local SNAP ENT experts, who the providers are to best meet the needs of that individual. And so really having that person-centered trauma-informed approach, having a conversation to make that connection with the organization that will best help support them. And then they will continue to touch base with them to make sure that connection was a good one and how they can further continue to help support them and help them achieve the success that they really want to see out of the employment and training program. So again, that was a really quick high-level overview of employment and training, and we definitely want to come back in the future to be able to dive deeper into each of those programs so you can learn more about them and look into how we can potentially even partner or how you can get the individuals that you're serving connected to these services. And Misha, I don't know if we have time for Q&A or if we want to just have them reach out to me if they have any questions.
We have a couple of minutes. Does anybody have any questions for Candy?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I don't know if I missed this part. I'm the community works project manager. We are contracted with ODHS. We are an employment also and training program. So I'm just wondering, and we are working with TANF recipients only. We don't work with SNAP recipients. So I'm wondering how those our program overlapping with this program, or they are completely two separate programs. I mean, because we have navigators doing almost the same work you explained when you're speaking about the navigators. So I'm just trying to understand, I mean, or differentiate between those two programs because I'm a little bit confused.
Sure. So those navigators that I was just speaking to were just for the SNAP individuals and families. They're not focused on the TANF families. And since you're focused on the TANF families, there's not going to be that overlap for that particular reason. But I think that is wonderful to hear that you're doing similar work for our TANF families.
And sorry if I asked the second question. So also I missed this part. So we are we are contracted with DHS. So we are IRCO, immigrant and refugee. So is this program implemented by ODHS or by a contractor?
The SNAP ENT navigators?
Yes.
They are ODHS staff. They are self-sufficiency staff. They are located in the district offices or the local service delivery offices. And so they are not contracted out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And I know that that was just a lot of information that I just dumped at you really quickly, so it may take some time to absorb. But Misha will be sending the slides out too, so you'll have more time to absorb the information, look it over. And again, if you have any questions or want to have a conversation about any of this, we're happy to have you reach out and have those conversations.
Thanks, Candy. Like Candy said, this was kind of an introduction. There was a lot of information about all the programs. So we're gonna, over the next few months, kind of break that up and talk about the programs more individually and maybe a little more in depth. And so you'll have a little more time to absorb and learn if it seemed like a lot. And the PowerPoint will go out. I know there was a lot of details that Candy didn't go over. It was more of a high-level overview, so you'll have time to kind of look those over. In the meantime, feel free to reach out if you do have questions, and I'll get those over to Candy's team to be able to answer as you have a chance to look at that slideshow a little bit more deeply. So next on our agenda, we have Craig, who's going to talk to us about Bank On. I learned about the program very recently. One of the things that we are looking at internally is, how can we help our families better when they are receiving supportive service funds from us, so that they're not having to have fees associated with cashing checks. And how can we make a system better? And we're looking into lots of things, but Craig came and presented to us about Bank On, and I thought, I bet our partners would really love to hear about this program too. And so that's why Craig is here today. So it's not an ODHS program, but it is definitely a program that I think you would be interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Craig so that he can talk to you more about that.
Thank you, Misha. Is it okay if I share my screen? Perfect. All right. I think I'm set. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Craig Vadiat. I work with the Oregon Division of Financial Regulation, and we are the state regulator for insurance and a range of financial services. That includes mortgage servicers and student loan servicers, state charter banks and credit unions, investment advisors, payday loans, and title loans. It's a really long list. We are the state regulator for all of those products and services, and we support the Bank On Coalition in Oregon. So that's kind of our connection to Bank On. I do want to share really quickly that Oregon DFR might be a partner that might work for the services that you provide. I want to share just a few quick things that we do. One is that we have a team of consumer advocates who are available Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 to help your clients with any problems related to the products and services that we regulate. So for example, if your client is having an issue with their student loans or with, again, their bank or credit union or an insurance product, we're available. And I'm going to go ahead and put our contact information in the chat in a moment. Another thing that we're able to do is provide financial education. We have a range of different financial education resources, including guides to renters insurance. And we have a new guide coming on investing basics. So we're really excited about those resources available, and that again might serve in some of the work that you do. And then we teach classes too. In fact, I see someone here from the Micronesia community group, and we're going to be heading out to La Grande next week to teach a class for them. So to Bank On, again, the Division of Financial Regulation is a partner in the Bank On Oregon Coalition. And I just want to share about kind of what the movement is all about and then how it might benefit you. So really simply, Bank On Oregon, or excuse me, Bank On has a mission of ensuring that everyone has access to a safe and affordable bank or credit union account. So that's pretty much it. I mean, that's it in a nutshell, that it is an effort to help people to get safe and affordable bank accounts. And the way that the coalition and nationwide that's being done is to look at ways to reduce barriers to banking access, right, that do exist, and then increase the number of safe and affordable bank accounts or credit union accounts. And across the country, financial institutions are encouraged to offer an account that meets a set of national standards developed by the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund, which was created in part by Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York City. And so if a financial institution offers an account that meets that national standard, then they can become Bank On certified. They can have that account Bank On certified. And the great news is there are over 420 Bank On certified accounts available across the US, with more than 21 available now within Oregon. So the good news is the number of available accounts is increasing, and there's other partners within our coalition that are working to offer a certified account as well. And then the coalitions, again, DFR is a member there. We work to help connect consumers to, again, government programs, businesses, and nonprofits where there are clients who potentially need an account that works for them. There are a lot of reasons folks don't have a bank account, unfortunately, and often it's related to fees. That fees are unpredictable, they're too high, maybe there's minimum opening requirements that are too high for folks. And that's kind of what Bank On national standards set to fix. because those are the problems that, again, keep folks from being banked, which can be really expensive. The Brookings Institution estimates that over the lifetime of somebody using alternative financial services and fees, that could add up to $40,000, which is a ton of money that folks can use and put to better uses, right? They use that money to pay for prepaid cards, check cashing, money orders. And again, they're paying for those things because bank accounts haven't worked for low to moderate income folks in the past, right? Because of overdraft fees, because of account dormancy fees and other kind of traps that have been put in there that have tripped up a lot of folks. So here are the guiding principles of this Bank On national movement. Again, one is that consumers should have access to a mainstream bank account, that financial institutions should provide an account that meets that national standard, that policymakers and financial institutions should really minimize any barriers to banking access, whether that's language accessibility, or maybe it's ID that's required. How can banks reduce those barriers to get more people into accounts that work? And then again, as I mentioned, the coalition's work is to connect consumers to these available accounts. And again, promote, push really that financial institutions offer accounts if they don't already do that. One of the key focuses that Bank On is trying to make progress around is integrating banking access opportunities into social service disbursement programs. So how can we really, again, find those folks who are unbanked and connect them to these accounts? And one way, this is an easy example, is summer youth employment programs, right? So you have a young person who is signing up for a summer job, and part of the program is that they learn about banking, learn about how that might help them, and then they open an account where their paychecks are directly deposited, right? Now they have, now they can't lose their money because they lost their prepaid card. Now they can develop a relationship with a bank, right, or a credit union. So there's other examples of those types of integration possibilities, and that's kind of what we're exploring here. Just really quickly, without going into the details, what are those national standards? Well, I think the most exciting one is that a Bank On certified account cannot have an overdraft fee. So any Bank On certified account is not going to have an overdraft fee associated with it. There's also going to be other lower fees. For example, you can see that the monthly maintenance fee or the monthly service fee is a $5 maximum if it's not waivable. It could be $10 if that fee is waivable, let's say through a direct deposit or maybe a transfer, an automatic transfer from your savings account to your checking account every month, right? I'm sorry, from your checking account to your savings account. So low fees. I mean, that's what really makes these types of accounts work for folks, because they're not, so expensive that they're harming the consumer, right? They're not unpredictable. All of this really kind of points at these should be full service accounts. They should, if available, they should provide free bill pay services, right? There should be access to online banking. There should be phone numbers that they can call to talk to real people. And there should also be lower ATM fees. If there is an out-of-network ATM fee, then it should be a maximum of $2.50 or up to $3 if they provide free access to a partner ATM network, right? So again, these are all these standards. They do work for low to moderate income folks, and I think they do make a difference. And then lastly, there's some other strongly recommended features. One barrier that folks face is around past problems with banking, right? Maybe they were not able to keep an account and maintain it well. So there were some fees associated with it. Well, Bank On really is encouraging financial institutions to only deny clients, potential clients, when there's an instance of fraud on their file, which might be through check systems, which is kind of the type of screening process that banks and credit unions use, they should only deny folks if there's a past instance of fraud. That's it. Otherwise, they should accept these consumers because they end up being profitable for banks and successful customers, right? And so they work for financial institutions, but again, they should work for clients, the consumers themselves. And one other thing I want to mention here is that it's encouraged that financial institutions accept alternative IDs. So there are more banks and credit unions that are accepting ITINs as the ID necessary to open an account, or foreign passports, right? So like the Mexican matricula consular, those types of IDs to open those accounts. Again, there's an example of reducing barriers there. So I want to share a little bit about the Bank on Oregon Coalition. We are a group made up of state agencies. Oregon DHS is thankfully participating. We also have Oregon Department of Corrections and the Oregon Treasury, DFR, myself. We have a range of financial institutions, credit unions and nonprofits. Credit unions and banks, nonprofit agencies, and that list is growing, which is great. We meet every other month over Zoom. Our next coalition meeting is scheduled for, November 30th from 10 to 11:30, and all are welcome. Feel free to drop in and just kind of see what the coalition is all about. But we would love to develop long-term relationships so that we can, again, really see this movement make a difference for folks. Our coalition works on a number of different priorities. One of them is to increase the number of certified accounts that are available across the state. There are banking deserts, right? There are places in the state where folks cannot get an account that works for them. The good news is, just in the last couple of months, there have been 4 financial institutions that have become Bank On certified. Again, they have now an account that meets that standard. I just want to point out that they're not probably going to call the account a Bank On account. Okay, it's going to have some other name, but I'll show you kind of how to find those Bank On certified accounts, so that if you're referring clients, there's not an issue that pops up with a client walking in and asking for a Bank On account and the teller going, huh? There is that problem, that kind of disconnect there, but we're working to change that. We also want to continue to encourage financial institutions to reduce any existing barriers to banking access. We've heard from lots of different groups that there's accessibility issues, that there's not culturally responsive customer service that's provided, that banks and credit unions don't necessarily educate folks when they don't qualify for an account, that employees at banks and credit unions don't represent the communities that they serve, right? They don't look like the folks in that community. And so that's part of the work too of this coalition. And then of course, we're promoting those accounts and other financial empowerment opportunities. In 2021, we hosted a listening session, which brought in a number of different community organizations representing diverse communities to kind of share their perspective. What is the lived experience like for folks in the communities that they serve around banking access? And we've used what we've learned there to try to, again, bring those financial institutions into the room to address some of those problems. I want to point out too that in 2023, what our work has focused on is, again, pursuing integration partnerships. So how can we get connected with organizations that maybe provide a payment to clients, and then developing that relationship in such a way that through that disbursement program, the clients are opening bank accounts and then having those payments direct deposited, right? And then helping their clients to maintain the account and use them successfully. We're also working to use the 2-on-1 info resource, the financial wellness page there, to promote certified accounts and other free financial empowerment services like financial coaching, IDA accounts, free tax preparation services. So in a nutshell, that is Bank on Oregon. I do want to show you a couple of resources. I'm going to go ahead and put a few things in the chat here. And just to kind of highlight what I've done, I have the, let's see here, and that. I have the National Bank On website, which is joinbankon.org. I also have the Bank on Oregon website, which is bankonoregon.org, and DFR's website as well. Before I finish, just kind of want to point out that on the national website, it's really easy to see the certified accounts that are available. You click on the tab that says accounts here, and then clicking on Oregon brings up a list of all of the certified accounts with links directly to those financial institutions. And again, you can see that they're not necessarily called Bank On accounts. Looks like Home Street calls theirs Bank On Checking, but most of them don't. When you do follow that link, it'll show a seal that says this account is certified for the 2023-2024 year as a Bank On certified account. So I want to go ahead and stop there and see if anyone has any questions. I would be happy to answer them. And again, I'll put my email in the chat. If you would like to join the coalition and see what it's all about, please email me and I'll happily add you to our email distribution list. And one other quick thing, we are looking for any type of partnerships moving forward, right? One is, can we talk about how you provide banking education information to your clients? 2, can you provide referrals to Bank On certified accounts? And then 3, is there a way to, again, integrate bank account opening into the programs that you provide, that you're actually helping folks to, to have clients open those accounts? Any questions?
You already answered the question that was in chat about how to get connected to the coalition. I did want to throw out there, in case you didn't see it, one of the links that Craig provided is a PDF to a brochure that you can print out if you are looking for something that you could hand to someone if they wanted to look at it more. So that is one of the links that's provided. But we do have time for a couple of questions if anybody has a question.
I'll ask. Hey, Craig, so you mentioned you're teaching classes. I'm going to assume that these are financial literacy classes.
That's correct.
Okay. And
yeah, so go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, so again, I work for the Oregon Division of Financial Regulation. And so we are happy to coordinate any sort of financial education classes that might serve the folks that you serve. And so what we typically have done is classes around insurance. So helping folks to understand how homeowners insurance works, or renters insurance, or auto insurance. And again, we're the state, right? So we're not promoting any particular product. We're just helping folks to understand how those products work so that they can make more informed decisions. We can also teach classes on credit, on scam and ID theft prevention, investing basics. It's a pretty wide range. We also do a lot of work around financial preparedness for disasters, right? What are the things that people can do to help them be more prepared in the case of disaster and to help them financially recover more quickly after disaster?
Do you teach people classes related to transitioning off benefits? For example, a lot of our Oregonians they're used to getting TANF, and so when they do get a job, a stable job, they have a lot more money now than what they were getting on TANF. Part of that concern is sometimes they may lose their housing voucher, or they're not responsible for their own food, the rent goes up, things of that nature. And a lot of times they're not really prepared for what's next because they're not used to having that type of an income and the responsibilities that come along with it. So at the end of the month, they might not know how to budget for this new life that they're having. Do you teach anything to that?
Yeah, I can say that we would teach like a basic budgeting course or how to build credit. We cannot provide any individualized coaching, right? But we do have a lot of partner organizations that we work with that do provide that kind of support. So to answer your question again, we can do kind of a basic budgeting course. What does it look like to develop credit? And maybe that would kind of meet the need that you're discussing there. I'm also going to drop into the chat DFR's publications page. We have, like I said, a range of different educational resources, and we're constantly updating these. And so there's a link to our publications page. If you see anything there that interests you, feel free to reach out to me and I'd happily send you out copies. The same thing goes with the Bank On brochures. I can mail out any copies that you might be interested in having.
All right. Thank you, Craig. If anybody else has questions for Craig, his email is in the chat, or if he hangs on a bit, you might be able to put it in chat and he'll answer you directly there. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to our updates. Miguel, are you here?
Hello, I am here, and
All
my
righty.
update is super quick. So Miguel Mendez, lead analyst for the TANF program here in Oregon. And my update is just to let you all know that our family, TANF families, all TANF families, a little over 21,000, will be receiving the clothing allowance payment for the month of November in the amount of $270. The payment is scheduled to go out on the 14th, becoming available to families on their ABT card on the 15th. So that was my update, quick and easy.
Thank you, Miguel. Any questions for Miguel?
Miguel, did you say that they'll be receiving this on the EBT card, or did I not hear that?
Correct, they'll receive it on their EBT card, or if they have a different method of receiving their benefits, such as via check or something, direct deposit, they'll receive it.
Yeah. And this would be 200 something per family, regardless of the size of the family?
Correct, it's $270 regardless of size of family.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. If anybody has any other questions for Miguel, go ahead and pop those into chat. I'm going to hand it off to James to tell us what's going on with the Oregon Eligibility Partnership and any important updates there.
Put the share on, and then I didn't hit unmute. So here I am, and it's good to see you all again. And I just have some different things that I pillaged from to create a slide deck, and so you get to see my notes too. But just want to point out a few things, since I only have a few minutes, that around renewals for medical, there's been all sorts of issues that affect, maybe tens of thousands of people here or there. And but we do, we're talking about 1.5 million people in the state 1 and 3 that are getting coverage, and so you can see some of these notes, and I probably don't need to get into the details that you can have here, but I think the big thing that this group is probably curious about is these call wait times. We're looking at 30 to 40 minutes on average for when someone calls a customer service center, that they're going to be sitting on hold. And I've now learned the process, by the way, of how we can how we review and can alter the hold messages for complaints that the music is so traumatizing because so many people have been waiting on hold so long. So we're going to be working on that, although I guess that involves arm wrestling with DAS. But that's something I can start working on. So if you have input on that, I'd love to hear it. But this is just a reminder that we've got a lot of waves cresting at once. I don't mean to make excuses, but I guess I sort of am here. The call line is just one way. I'm hoping by relying on our partners, we can get people also using the one system itself, go to a local office, encourage people to call in the mornings. I guess I've heard Tuesday morning is like prime time to call, but otherwise, keep in mind that I think the last week I saw the average was 36 minutes that you're waiting. So that's an average. If you're calling later in the afternoon, you're going to be waiting longer. There is a callback option, but it fills up in the afternoon too. So I wish we had a good story, but all these different things, the open enrollment is now started, your DC waitlist has started, ABOD changes. These have all created a lot of pressure on our car lines. And so, the drill, it's going to be for at least a few months. There is an effort to reduce these call line or these wait times. There's going to be a press release coming out Monday talking about it. But in any case, that's what we have so far. And by the way, feel free to raise your hand or jump in if you have any questions. I do encourage people to look at the app. I personally am finally getting good enough that I can approach people and get them on the app. Not perfectly. When you get stuck, there is a number you can call to get assistance as well. But I just want to plug the app once again. It's in English and Spanish, and you can apply. But most of the people we're talking about, need to see when their renewal is coming up. What are the notices they're getting? What if they need to put in their latest pay stub? You can take a picture of it and upload it. So it is handy. It's not panacea, but it's an important piece. Where are we at right now? Well, we're midway through the medical renewals, which is the big workload right now. So this is a very busy chart, but we're right down, right in month 8 here. And the data up until month 7 is here. So as of a few weeks ago, we are a little more than halfway. 82% of people are continuing to get their medical benefits. One thing I heard about this morning, which has been tossed around, so I didn't prepare anything for it, but we've got 4 groups of people we see in the data that we're not reaching very well, whether it's generally medical, but talking about SNAP too, is older people, 65 and older. We need to be better about reaching them. Long-term care clients, customers, we need to be better about reaching them. Unhoused people, and I saw Jackie here earlier, so I'm just going to say also Asian and Pacific Islanders. We're not doing a good job reaching them, so I'm going to be working on reaching these communities. And if you work with any of these communities in particular, definitely will want to talk to you about how can we get information out. And so here I am, the last minute, and I was just getting to partner resources. I'll just go ahead and share this deck with Misha because I've got too many slides here, as you can see. But I do want to plug that we have an office. Well, we have an office hour. We have a webinars coming up. The webinar is coming up Tuesday, but this office hour that I'm also hosting, which will be longer, of just people able to ask whatever questions that are subject matter experts. Feel free to come. It'll be a great time. But we've got notice guides. We've got toolkits, just various different things. I'll skip down here to also, you can send your feedback to me. We also have these platforms to get feedback, because there's an actual feedback team over at OHA that handles these things. So I love sending stuff to them. So there's a little bit there. But Misha's always been much more serious about actually sticking to our wind down time of 2:55. So I am actually going to wrap up, and just want to thank you for your work on all this. But we have a lot ahead of us as well, as you well know. Thanks.
Thank you, James. James said he just had a couple of updates. There's looks like there was quite a bit there. So we'll try and get some more time scheduled for him for next month so he can walk you through this a little bit more. But we will get this out to you in the follow-up email so that you can dig in and check out some of these links and things that he's got in there for you all. So sorry he didn't have more time for you. I'm going to hang on a couple of minutes in case anybody has any questions, but otherwise, yes, we are at that time, and I want to respect your time. So thank you all for being with us today, and definitely look forward to seeing you again next month. Be on the lookout for those new invites for 2024 so we can get those on your calendar. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody.